Hello, and welcome to another episode of Showboys. My name is Mike, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend Nick and fellow co-host, my other good friend Chad. Wait, my finger doesn't work right there. Our special co-host and a new friend. Well, not really new friend, but video game streamer extraordinaire, BioSiv, or also known as Yusuf. Hello, welcome to the show, boys. How you guys doing? Wow, I just said our name, and I actually meant like welcome to the show, comma, boys.
Boys.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, boys. Comma.
Yes. How are y'all doing today?
Doing good. Trucking right along through the week. We're at Thursday.
We are. Chad, how are you? I realized I said how are you to three people.
That was that got a little complicated there. I'm good though. I'm great.
Yeah. And Yusuf, you doing
good.
all right over there?
Yeah, nothing to complain about today.
Nice.
Today.
Yes.
Right.
At this particular moment. But yeah, we have a fun episode for you guys today. We're kicking off our What's Playing episode for April with, combining it with our monthly interview episode. So we figured, why not? I've been watching BioSiv streams for the last couple weeks. And actually, I don't know if you remember back all the way from, Jackson High School, we, shared a few classes together.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I first noticed you beginning to stream, I don't know, many, many months ago, I was like, oh, it's really cool. I should watch that sometime. And then it never worked out to where you were live while I was able to sit in front of the computer or have my phone out.
Right.
But your streaming schedule now is perfect for me. And I've been tuning in every morning. It keeps me super entertained while I'm trying to work. And I was like, hey, we got a What's Playing coming up. My man Yusuf streaming video games. Let's interview him on our video game episode.
Yeah, no brainer.
It kind of works out, right?
Exactly. So, first off, I'm going to put Chad and Nick on the spot. Have you seen any of BioSiv's stuff out there?
I actually have. As much as you don't want me to say yes, I actually have. I caught some of your first order streaming. I saw you die by 3 rats. That was really entertaining.
Rats and rams, I tell you.
Yeah. If I'm even going to return to that game, I'm turning this difficulty all the way down. So I don't blame you. I get frustrated, all that stuff too. And then some of the new Tomb Raider as well. I think that was a little bit more recent. But yeah, it's always entertaining.
Well, thank you.
What about you, Chad? Have you caught any of his stuff?
Yeah, I watched you play Control, like I said earlier, and I watched a little bit of your Dark Souls 3 gameplay. So,
okay.
A lot of the games,
an hour, and that was on a week. That's an obscure time.
Yeah. So, your games that you play are right up my alley. I mean, I played all those games, so it's exciting to watch other people struggle through Dark Souls.
I've seen your guys' show on YouTube before, and I'm like, oh yeah, definitely, I connect with that. Definitely, all the games are in line.
Yeah, I think one time we were chatting, and you're like, I feel like I'm one with Chad or something.
Oh, that was him. Oh yeah, you sent me that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think also I forget if it was you or someone else that I was watching playing Fallen Order. But did you get to the end and then check the difficulty and think you were playing it at a much me. That was you? Okay, that was hilarious.
Yeah. I don't know if it was that or a different game, but I was like, oh man, I can't believe I just beat that on hard. And then the skills were bloop, achievement easy, and I was like, yep, and then give me normal, and it was like,
okay, where's the heart? Come on,
real?
Keep them coming. I was dying over here.
Yeah, that's brutal, man.
But yeah, so BioSiv, he streams every weekday, Monday through Friday, typically from 8 to 9:45 in the morning. So again, someone like me who has super boring desk job. Sorry, any PLMers who are maybe listening. I do work. There's 4 screens. He just takes up one of them. But I throw them up on a stream or on a screen, and then it's just, pretty funny stuff for an hour and 45 minutes. So what also I should say, he streams on Facebook, not on Twitch. So again, just kind of like makes it a little easier. But yeah, why don't you start off by just telling us how you got into streaming in the first place?
Well, I didn't even know streaming was a thing. I had started going to college for mobile application development, and one of our friends from high school, Phil, said, "Hey, have you heard of this streamer, Carnage?" I was like, "I don't even know what that is. What is a streamer?" And he was like, "Dude, you got to go on to Twitch and check this stuff out." So I started watching it, and I was like, "Dude, this is boring as hell. Why would you want to watch somebody play video games for hours?" He's like, "No, dude, no. You put it on in the background or something, or like you watch it for 5-10 minutes at a time if it's something you enjoy, and then bounce, do something else." I was like, "Okay." So as I was going through college, I'm doing my coding and stuff. I had Carnage. I had Tim the Tatman. I was watching those guys 7-8 years ago at this point. And I was like, that is basically what I thought video game testing was. That's what I wanted to do when I was 3 years old, So I was like, I want to be a streamer now. So I went out and I bought a capture card. It was an external Elgato, like one of the first gens. You couldn't run it with any other capture card. You had one thing, and that was that. And that was where we were. Bought the Xbox One Day One edition, and I started streaming. And it really didn't pan out. I had a kid, shortly before it, And I started focusing more on that, and just in the past
blasted parenthood,
right. I did that for a while, and now I've figured out how to, control both situations,
right?
Most situations in my life, and so I started streaming a little bit more in the past 6 months. I started putting in some actual work to it, and I figured about beginning of the year actually. If you really want to do this, instead of just shit or get off the pot, basically,
right?
Stick to a schedule and stick to it. And every morning, I'm 5-10 minutes late, but I show up, and I will always show up. I'm like, and I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to go. I feel so miserable.
But then in the back of your mind, you're like, but Mike's waiting.
Right.
He's waiting for me.
There is one person at least I know I cannot be an ass to. I have to at least show up and be like, "Hey, look, today I don't feel like it. Like, can we just work something out?"
You're inspiring me to be like 5-10 minutes late to the show.
No,
podcast.
Oh no!
What have you done? I think all us like indie content creators kind of have that moment that you had in the beginning of the year where, or at least I should say, this is what happened to me in terms of wanting to do this podcast whenever Nick and I kind of were, throwing around the idea and having that conversation. I've wanted to do a podcast for probably like 2 or 3 years, but I was like kicked around the idea with another friend, and then we never like did anything with it. And then I don't even remember how it got brought up with Nick, with you. Like, that's a whole other conversation. I don't remember how we got on to like, we should do a podcast, but then we were like, it came up and Nick's like, all right, well, let's do it. When do you want to record? And I was like, Thursday. And then we did it. But then it's just like having that mindset of like, if you want to do something, like, what's the worst that can happen? It's gaming is something you love to do. Talking about movies, shows, video games is something that I already do anyways. So like, why not put it out there? What's the worst that can happen? I'm already doing this stuff anyways. Like, but you'll never know unless you actually take the chance and do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Well, you got it, man.
Is that kind of something similar with you, Chad, and That's Strange, and
Yeah, it
how that
definitely
kind of
was.
all...
It definitely was a, hey, we're already talking about this at work, so why not just record it, and put it. It's the exact same thing that you said. It's just a no-brainer. We're already going to talk about it, so we might as well just sit down and record ourselves talking about it. And that's exactly how it started. And I would think that's majority how all podcasts start in some sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, like, I don't know, if you enjoy doing something, like, do it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? The world needs one thing that I heard Kevin Smith say a long time ago on one of his like 700 podcasts that he does. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with who Kevin Smith is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He had said something on one of his podcasts, like at the end of their show, they take like fan questions because they were doing it live at a bar back before COVID. And they would always leave time for like 3 to 5, fan questions or comments at the very end. And the one guy was talking about a comic that he was writing, or like asking questions about like how to move forward with a comic he was trying to create or whatever. And Kevin Smith was like, like the world needs more creation. Like when you create something, it's like a beautiful thing. And there's too many people in this world who are trying to destroy and like just create and like let your art go out there. It might catch somebody's attention and like entertain at least one person, and then it was worth it. Or at the very least, it's entertaining you because you're doing something you love, and that's like a beautiful thing.
Right.
So, didn't mean to go all like philosophical on this.
I
quickly,
think
I like deep Mike.
Yeah, Mike gets deep sometimes. I think the world as a whole just needs more people doing what they want to be doing, and this is the perfect way for some people to get into what they want to be doing. So
yeah, and like it's with everything being so accessible digitally, like it's the perfect time to, whether you're streaming video games or creating a podcast or like producing music, or like with the power of YouTube, like just being able to teach yourself anything, and then like having the internet at your fingertips, it's just like, what can't you do? Like you could just teach yourself to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
I also feel like the podcast is a good way to hold ourselves accountable for things we say we want to do or are going to do. So like if we say it on the podcast, like one, you have to think about it's like, am I going to say this and commit to this? Because there's, potentially some people watching and they're going to hold me to it.
Yeah.
Mike brings it up later, like, hey, did you ever do that thing? Nope, I suck.
Yeah. I will say it is BioSiv's fault. Well, not fault, but he is the reason that I actually went back and decided to finish Fallen Order. Because I don't know out of if you've listened to our episodes or anything, but I should say I used to have a crippling addiction to League of Legends, where it's like the only game I would play for like 6 years straight. I'll start like a game here or there, but then like play for 2 hours and be like, I need to play League of Legends. So I started Fallen Order and played for a couple hours, and then the new ranked season started. So I was back on League, and then you started streaming and I was watching. I was like, man, I actually really loved this game. Like I need to go finish it.
Yeah.
Right?
So I did. And it was so fun. Yeah. Yeah, dude. That's one of my favorite games I've played. The story was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's probably one of the best Star Wars games in the past 10 years. And for EA to be putting out the Star Wars games that they were putting out, and then to put that out, I think it's a move in the right direction. Now, obviously, all the developers are picking up on Star Wars now, so we're going to get all kinds of Star Wars games. I would imagine in the next 15 years, we're going to have mass quantities of them. But that at least made me hopeful. As we should. Yes, I agree 100%.
Nick's very happy about that.
During my Tomb Raider, you were talking about there's a new Knights of the Old Republic game coming out?
There's some open world RPG that is coming out. I don't know if it's exactly Knights of the Old Republic sequel or related. And I also don't know if that game is now known as the Star Wars 1313 game, or if that's like if those are two different things. Maybe Chad might know, like my
Well,
hand motions.
Star Wars 1313 was the canceled bounty hunter game that I had heard that they picked up and were allegedly working on again, but I don't think anything's confirmed. At the current moment, I think its status is it's still canceled. But you can look up a gameplay trailer that was like shown at E3 2013 or something like that.
Nick's
and it's
getting
on
his Dikembe Mutombo on down there.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
Okay, go ahead, Nick.
If you listen to the newscast,
Oh, geez,
Oh, boy.
there it goes.
1313 is revived. And,
Okay, there we go. I thought I heard it.
They are going to. It's coming out later this year, and it will be heavily blended with the Bad Batch potentially, the show. So as far as like the events in the game, will tie in with the show, and it'll focus on the rise of Boba Fett, becoming a bounty hunter that he is known to be.
So revived in the sense that it has nothing to do with the original 1313.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
They revived the project, and then they essentially picked a new direction with it, but it still has like the same elements in the sense that it's going to deal with like the underworld of Coruscant and all that
in the
sort
sense that it's a video game also called
Yeah.
1313.
Yeah.
I mean, I was excited for 1313 just because it was so different from everything else, and nothing has really touched on that.
Well, it was
kind
like
of
the
bounty
first
hunter.
Yeah,
ahead.
it was like the first basically it's like what they did with Fallen Order. They were going to do with that game years ago, and it never happened, right? This RPG, platformer, something different, not a first person shooter kind of thing. So like, I think if that would have came out, all the years ago that it was first announced, it would have been kind of like the Fallen Order of the time. But
I kind of assumed that Fallen Order was like the natural progression of canceling 1313.
Yeah.
Disney coming in and saying we need to make a game about a Jedi, not a bounty hunter, and it kind of went that direction because it does have a lot of the climbing elements and Uncharted-like elements in it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm excited for 1313. So
Same. So not to completely shift the conversation, but what made you decide to want to stick to the Monday through Friday early morning stream times?
Well, it works well with my work schedule. I also know that later on in the afternoons and the evenings, most people are getting out of work or they're already home from work. It becomes a saturated environment. A lot of our area, 5, 6 o'clock, boom, they want to get home, start, relax and playing their video game. And what else do? You can stream it, So first thing in the morning, I've got the extra, 2 hours that most people are already at work. And like for you, in your case, you're at work and you have that ability that you can watch it in the background. Mm-hmm. And that's my, my market audience for our area. But really, I get a lot of Eastern European and Northern Africa.
Nice.
No joke. It's but my number one, straight up, it's Texas. I don't understand that one because
that's early.
That's really early for them.
Yeah. Super early. So
maybe it's all those rig workers out there.
Those cowboys, man, they get up early.
Watching some BioSiv out on the ranch.
Yeah. But no, I think it's cool, and like you said, it's a kind of like a fresh market almost, because who the heck's going to stream from 8 to 9:45,
Yeah.
Right.
And I assume that's also why you stream to Facebook instead of Twitch.
Exactly. When I started with Twitch, it was still sort of young, and I was picking up some headway. Not really great, but like, as far as not streaming consistently and not streaming for a long time, I was feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Flash forward 7 years and everyone is on Twitch. And it's like you can't do any games on there unless 40, 50 other people are doing that, and that's obscure games.
Yeah.
Like if you play something like GTA 5, like that is the hottest game next to Call of Duty and League. You can't do that like 150 people at a time, and you want to stand out, but there are 3 people at the top who are holding 3,000 to 4,000 people, their attention. Then the next like 80 people have 20 to 30 people, and then the next rest of them, everyone after that is like 3 or 4 people. You can't win in there.
Right.
That's why you need to adopt the BioSiv hot tub stream.
I know somebody who streams a quiz show from their hot tub. No joke.
Hey, I do know that same person. Yes.
Yes.
I'm all for the BioSiv hot tub stream, though. No joke.
We'll see about that.
But also, I can hear distant echoes of our buddy Jordan screaming right now at the top of his lungs.
I was going to say it.
Stream on theta.tv. So we're big supporters of the Theta network. If you aren't familiar, go look it up. But one of the things that they offer is a mashup of YouTube and Twitch called Theta TV. And it's a very, very like young streaming service that you can also upload like pre-recorded videos like you would on YouTube. There's not much going on that site at the moment. So my offering to you, my friend, is maybe look into that. Maybe you can like dual stream on both or something, but it might be a fresh market for you to tap into.
My big thing, the reason I chose Facebook as my place to stream was most of my friends aren't what we would call gamers. They don't sit in front of a console or like pine over the next Final Fantasy or something. So my job is don't cater to the gamers. It's cater to the average consumer. Most of the people who have come in and just shouted at me, they don't play games like hardcore. Yes, of course, I've had my hardcore gamer friends drop in, but I've had other people just stop in and be like, oh, dude, hey, wow, this is what you're doing? This game looks crazy. Like, oh, yeah, it's fun. And they stick around. They're like, this is wild. I'm going to check this game out. Like, so it's an untapped market. The audience is fresh. Mm-hmm. That's why Facebook's the place to be, because everyone's on Facebook. Like the 3 or 4 friends that I remember to speak to every once in a while, they even have Facebook. So it's like almost everyone has Facebook.
Right on.
It's a good plan for sure, definitely.
Yeah, and the Facebook gaming section is still pretty young.
Still young. It's growing though, fast.
Yeah. So what has been like your favorite game that you've streamed so far?
As far as games that I've streamed, I really, really enjoyed
hard hitting questions over here by Showboys.
I really enjoyed Mario 64.
Okay.
Nice.
That was a fun one. I got that in that 3D All-Stars bundle.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I know I just need, X amount of stars to beat this game. And I'm fairly good at this game. I can run through it in maybe a day. Let me just see how fast I could do it. And so I started streaming it. And I think it took me a total of 2 days, like 4 and 4 was my stream times on that. And I knocked it out. And that game, that was just a lot of fun because it was like, I don't know, there was a good flow to it. I didn't really break rhythm except for just maybe one good chunk. I was just frustrated. I was like, you know what? I got to walk away here for a second. I'm going to order dinner.
I will say one thing I've learned watching your stream is when you say your famous last words of, I think we're pretty close to the end, that really means we're about like halfway through the game. He does that the last like 3 games I've watched. He said that, and then there's been like a week more worth of like streams.
Look, I caught it this time. I was gonna
I
say
love
it today
it.
on the
It's
thing,
so
and I was
funny.
like, I think we're about 50% of the way through the game. Yep, we're gonna see how far we get next
it's
week.
so funny. Yes, that's awesome. I will say, not from like gameplay, maybe, yeah, not so much, but like one of my favorite games to have on that while you're streaming and I'm working is Katamari, just because the soundtrack is so awesome. Like,
Yeah.
It's fun.
I just love, I could just like listen to
It's
the soundtrack, I
repetitive,
guess,
though. It
but
just
like,
loops.
I'm just like, man, this is awesome. But yeah, so do you guys have any questions before I continue to barrage him?
Well, I was going to go back to kind of like your reasoning for picking Facebook. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, and I like that idea. And plus, I feel like there is a little bit of a market that doesn't go tapped very often, and that is your non-gamer, which is a really good point, right? And I mean, I'm a gamer, but maybe I'm just the casual sort where I'd rather see someone, not to bring up your Fallen Order death by 3 rats, but I'd rather see someone die, and have fun and also get frustrated from seemingly not something that looks that hard, right? And maybe that's enough to say, I'm not being wowed by what the hardcore gamers get wowed by, right? As a non-gamer, maybe they're wowed by like, wow, this game just kind of looks fun and a little challenging, and maybe I'll play it, right? So I definitely think that's good. I mean, that's a real healthy thing to do, because I just feel like a lot of times people get too caught up in thinking like, oh, I need to show off how good I am at this game, or like how fast I can run it. And me and Mike talk about that all the time and make fun of Tim, who's actually just today announced that he's coming over to the non-sweaty side of things.
That was a very big moment for our friend Tim. He's been a big like turbo nerd, sweaty, like got to be the best at everything like as quickly as possible type gamer.
Min-max, all the stats.
The worst kind of gamer, basically.
Yeah.
He is sorry, Tim, if you're listening, but I doubt you are. But he finally was like, guys, I think I've finally grown up. I finally understand that video games are to be enjoyed.
To have fun.
Yeah, I mean, it takes some time. Yeah, it takes some time to get there, though, because
yeah.
Some of these games are hard and they can get frustrating. So you kind of lose sight of like, I'm supposed to be doing this for fun, not for you know what I mean.
Dark Souls, right?
Yeah, Dark Souls, prime example. But I think as I get older, I just get less frustrated with games than I used to. So it's not like if I could die 100 times and I'm like, oh, whatever, I'll do it 101 times. The
only time I get frustrated is when it's a stupid mistake, one that's like user error. If I am, and you saw me do it, like as I'm running and I just drop down an elevator shaft, I'm like, I didn't hit the button for the elevator to come up. That's my bad, and I lost all the progress. Like that's that, and I feel.
Yeah.
I do want to ask, where's your name come from?
So I my first tattoo, I got a biohazard symbol, and I wanted to incorporate that. Like that, it was very cool to me. I wanted to incorporate it in my my gamer tag, and so I did. It was a bio assassin, life assassin is what I wanted it to be, and I was like, "This is so cool! I'm so badass!" Like, and then, like at the time, my my best friend Kevin, he was my neighbor. When we met. He caught my name, but I said it so fast he had never heard the name Yusuf before. So the next morning he knocks on my door and he asked my mom, because I'm still passed out in my room. He asked my mom, he was like, "Hey, is Siv home?" And she was like, "Who?" And he was like, "Siv,
you got street name, son?"
There's something we need to know about here.
and so that's the nickname. And I was like, let me just tie them together. BioSiv.
That's pretty cool.
When Mike was first talking about you streaming, I just kept thinking of like Civilization, the game, like CIV. So like that's all that ever rang in my ear. Then I went and watched the stream and I saw it spelled out. I'm like, okay, it's not that.
I went to a tag sale. I picked up Civilization 5 for $2.
Dang, nice.
That one's solid.
That's Nick's like my League of Legends is Nick's Civ.
Yeah,
he has a crippling Civ addiction.
Okay, yeah.
That's my most played game on Steam. I mean, I haven't played it in years, but it racked up the most hours for whatever reason.
I kind of thought that your name was, because I was looking through your streams and you were playing, I think, Resident Evil Remake. So I didn't know if it was like a Biohazard nod, because that's what Resident Evil's called in Japan. So
the whole the Biohazard, the tattoo. I got a bio or
the umbrella.
Tattoo.
Yeah, nice.
So I'm all about Resident Evil. That's my jam.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we line up on our games then for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Pretty soon, Nick and I will be replaced by Chad and BioSiv.
It's okay.
I love it. Let's make it happen. I'm totally being serious. That wasn't a joke. But yeah, I will say that's the other thing that. So I do watch my fair share of game streams, mostly like competitive games. Mainly just watching Pro League of Legends, but I've enjoyed it. Yeah, they can be sweaty because it's like actually their job.
Yeah, and they get paid. And
true.
Yeah,
millions of people watch them.
Yeah.
It's understandable.
But I've been really enjoying watching your stream because it's like, not that I've not known about these games, but like watching someone play them, I'm like, oh man, I really should try that game out. And then like. I think I tell you every time I buy a game that you play, because I'll be like, oh, hey, this is only like $7 on Steam right now. So you're the reason I've bought like my last 4 games.
That's funny. Look, how it happens is because I've got Game Pass, I'm like, oh, they rotate these games out because I just missed like 2 or 3 good games. The big one I got was Witcher 3. But I was lucky enough to snag a copy on my computer. But, I was going to do it on my Xbox because it's super easy to just connect it and do all that
But
stuff.
you'd be streaming that for like a year. Like you wouldn't be able to stream anything else.
Yeah, I mean,
like 2 weeks in, he'd be like, all right, we're getting close. We're almost to the end, guys.
No.
I cleared out
you
the
gotta pick and choose
area.
the right games, I know better this time. I'm not doing Final Fantasy 15 for a while,
There you go.
I'm big and I can spend 8 hours at a time.
That was going to be my question, was how do you go about picking your games? Is it just like you see it on Game Pass and you're like, yeah, let's do this one?
I pick it because of first things I pick are games that are on Game Pass because I know they're going to be rotated out sooner rather than later. So I try and jump on ones that interest me, not necessarily ones that are more popular, just something I would want to play.
Yeah.
And then I go, out of the ones that I have here, what's the most likely to be interesting to somebody, to be cool, that I would enjoy actually playing it for somebody, and it's going to be faster pace. It's got to be fast paced now. I realize that if I'm going to be doing slow stuff, it's got to be a long thing, something I can just chill. We're going to take some time. We're going to have some drinks and just go for the ride.
Some wine and crackers.
9 a.m.
I do enjoy like how you're a variety streamer though. Like you basically got a new game every couple weeks, which keeps it fresh. Not that I'm against. Obviously, like I've watched League of Legends for 6 years, so like that doesn't bother me. I'll watch someone play the same game, but it's fresh and like I've said twice now, like it's like it makes me want to check these games out or like, add them to my wish list on Steam.
And that's what he needs.
I need to hit like a Call of Duty every once in a while. And it's always going to be the same Call of Duty gameplay, if you stream for that.
Right.
Yeah. Cause like the cool thing is like, of all the games you've played, I mean, I still fancy myself like a big gamer, even though I only play primarily like 2, maybe 3 games. I like to stay on top of things. but I had never heard of Control before, and that game is so cool looking.
Oh man, it's
Like,
awesome. It's
and then I
awesome.
found out it's on Steam, so like it's on my wish list now. So when it goes on ridiculous sale, I'm gonna scoop that up.
Straight up, like we had said, it was just on a Game Pass, and then as I was looking through and I saw the trailer, it was like 9.1, 9.5. Like out of all of the people, everyone was 9 point. You know, I was like, oh, dude, all right, cool, Game of the Year, like boom, 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 and I was like, how did I never hear of this? Why didn't I play this? This seems cool, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I was the exact same way with Control. I didn't play it until like maybe a year after it came out because I think I played it. Well, I guess it hasn't been a year. Maybe did it come out last year? Doesn't matter.
I thought it was like 2 years.
I think
now.
yeah, 2 years. So I'd never heard of it, and the same thing. Game of the year. I'm like, okay, maybe I should hop on top of this because Remedy's other games, Alan Wake. I never played Quantum Break, but Alan Wake I absolutely love. So I was like, okay, I need to hop on this, and I was so happy that I did because we talked about it on the show before, like kind of a meta level of storytelling. Control does it so good with all the files that you find and everything you're reading. It builds such an awesome world outside of cutscenes, and it makes you kind of excited to go find all these collectibles and read them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the little videos that I've seen them play like on the TVs or the projectors or whatever while you're playing, like some of those are real creepy and give me like ARG like type vibes. And I'm like, dude, this could be like, I would totally watch that video that's playing on this TV in this video game. Like that's something I would seek out and watch on YouTube.
Right,
exactly.
exactly.
Already probably have.
Yeah, Control's right up your alley for sure because with all the ARG stuff, it's awesome. They build an awesome world, and I really hope they make a sequel to it.
Plus, the janitor looks like Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Oh man. One thing that I saw also, scrolling through Facebook, I saw that you got a little shout out on Q92.
I did.
See, we're in the presence of gaming fame here, boys.
That's silly.
This man's being shouted out on the
so
radio
humble.
station.
So humble.
It just happened that I'm friends with Drew on Q92. All right, and that morning I was talking with you actually about investing in Super Mario 3D All Stars because I believe it will go up in price. Invest now and then just hold on to it for 10 years. It's silly, but I got some Magic the Gathering cards from Homeland that are sealed boosters that are worth $20 a pop right now. Like, so if you just hold on to something that you know you're not going to mess with, it's a good investment. Yeah. He read that or overheard it, and he was talking about it on the radio. And then somebody I knew mentioned, hey, Drew on Q92 was talking about your stream by name. He said it several times and was talking about, hey, that guy is smart. Go invest in this thing, And I was like, sweet. And thank you, Drew,
Sweet. That's awesome, man.
Right.
Yeah, I think that the one thing from my childhood that I wish that I had were like all my Star Wars toys because they're like worth a freaking fortune now. And if I had just kept them and not touched them, which of course wasn't going to happen because I was a kid and I wanted to play with them. Oh man, like I wanted to get like the Millennium Falcon that came out when I was a kid for my kids, and it's like an absurd price now, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah,
I did the double Happy Meal thing. Anytime I got my kid a Happy Meal when he was growing up, I'd be like, "Ooh, I get the toy, and there's your toy." So
there you go.
And I have a bag just chilling over here. Like one day there's going to be something.
Someday, yep.
Yeah. One of the pops I have sitting back there on my shelf, Funko Pops. These guys here. It's a Joker, and it looks really cool. It's the white one. He has like red swirly eyes and green hair. It's worth like $100 and some.
Oh wow,
nice. But I'm a terrible collector where I buy them because I actually want to display them. So like
Right.
I don't have the box anymore. So it's
Oh,
actually
there you
worth
go.
nothing.
Yep.
So I just
Play the
have
box again.
this really expensive Funko Pop up there that I probably bought for like $5. But I have it's worthless because I don't have the box.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm an idiot.
That gets rid of all value on it.
Pretty much.
It's not like at least worth half of what
I mean,
a mint
people
one.
really want them in the box.
See, this is why video games are a different sort of a medium. I have, and I don't even remember what the game is. Damn. The game, the disc, I had a friend come over one day. They were visiting. I went to the bathroom like an idiot, just believing, friends and stuff. They popped the GameCube disc out of the box and left the box. A couple of years later, I'm hard up on some money. I went to go and flip the game, and there it was gone.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, damn. Point is, I have the box, and I just found out the other day I can buy the disc for $20, and if I pop it in the box, the game becomes $150.
Yeah, there you go, Mike. Just buy,
Like,
just eBay the box. It's
there
out
you
there
go.
somewhere.
Yeah. Man, we have like reverse problems.
Yeah, right.
Oh, geez. Yeah. So, do you guys have any more questions for him, or are you guys ready to move on to our gaming pitches?
I'm ready.
I think I'm ready. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for letting us question you and interrogate you about your stream. That was a lot of fun, learning more about it. So before we move on, though, why don't you tell everyone where we can find you on Facebook?
Oh, I believe it's just facebook.com/BioSiv. That's BIOSIV. And then the other place you could find me at the moment is on YouTube, BioSiv. That's the two places I'm located at the moment.
Yes. And if you subscribe to our page or follow us on YouTube at all, BioSiv's YouTube channel is actually a featured channel on our channel. So if you're looking for them and you're on our channel, you can just scroll on down to the featured channels. That Strange YouTube channel is also a featured channel on our page. So if you're having trouble finding it, you can just give it a little click over there on the featured channel section. And one thing I also wanted to point out for anyone who's watching the live stream or watches this video, BioSiv does not live in a green tent. He is just joining us from his streaming room, which is covered in green screen.
I was gonna say I'm still the only one that has a crappy background. I still got the 3/4 of a wall and a half open door.
Oh, Joe, check this out. That one back there, I found out is just Dollar Tree tablecloth. The plastic.
Wow. Yeah.
No joke. That's $4 worth, and it just covers a whole wall. I took some green thumbtacks, popped them in, and it works.
Perfect.
Oh man!
So I get the floating action.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
floating in the game.
So as we do with all of our interview episodes, we actually prepared a topic for tonight, and the topic was actually a question that we were asked in our Discord by our chief moderator, Fortress Tiberius. He asked all the way back in February, what old game would you like to see a remaster or remake for? So I threw this question out to you three and thought that it would be fun if we each picked a game and came to the episode tonight with a pitch for a game that we would like to see rebooted, remade, remastered, whatever adjective you want to use, even though they all have actually specific meanings. So, but yeah, we pick a game, we pitch it, to the group, and then, see where the conversation leads. So we also got a few listener suggestions and comments from Discord that we will read after our pitches here. So yeah, I didn't really think to make this a thing where maybe somebody would pick the best pitch, but I'm gonna make that call right now. So listeners, if you're listening in the live stream, this was not a competition, but I've just made it one. Yeah, let us know which pitch you liked the most. Either, in a comment in our Discord, on our social medias. Let us know, because
I'm totally gonna lose this one. I didn't know this was a competition, but
that's right. I
So
didn't know
rude.
until literally I was just speaking right there. So, but yeah, so I'll start just so you kind of hear like what my idea for how our pitches would work, and hopefully it makes sense with what you guys do, or else this is going to be really awkward. It's one of the downfalls of never like sharing our notes with each other for things like this. You never know how it's going to turn out. But before I get into my actual pitch, I wanted to throw out an honorable mention of a game that I absolutely adored back on PlayStation 2, that I thought about making my choice for my pitch tonight. And that would be the old RPG Lord of the Rings game, like the Two Towers, or maybe even Return of the King, but like the action RPG where it was kind of like almost side scroller in nature, and you could pick between Legolas and Aragorn and Gimli. Do you guys remember that game at all?
The Return of the King one, I played the crap out of that game. And then pretty sure I played the Two Towers one too.
I forget which one, but there's one that had like the most epic battle at Helm's Deep section, and that game was so fun. So I almost thought about making that my game to pitch for a reboot, and keeping it in the same vein as an action RPG, but in the style of like an Uncharted, Last of Us, Tomb Raider, Dark Souls type take on that game. I know we've had the Middle Earth, like Shadow of Mordor,
yeah.
But for whatever reason, like I couldn't get into those games.
It's a little bizarre for you to say that, because you love the Arkham games and it's the literal exact combat from. It's really bizarre.
It's
the environment. Weird. They didn't nail the environment in those games. I think that's the problem.
And I'm not sure how I felt about like the weird like I don't remember what the system's called, but like how
it's the Nemesis. Nemesis system. It's actually pretty cool, because like if you get killed by one of these guys, they like rank up, and then you find them later on. You're like, oh, I'm totally taking you down this time. It's super cool, man. And I'm not even really that big of a Lord of the Rings fan, but I love those games. So
nice. So that was my honorable mention. But the game I want to pitch to you guys is near and dear to my heart, and that is Pokemon. Now, my pitch is to reboot the Pokemon series as an MMORPG. Now, I know there is an open world Pokemon game coming out. It's like in the works right now, called Pokemon Legends Arceus, I think is how you say it, or Arceus. I think it's Arceus. I don't know. Sue me. But it's, like an open world, I believe, single player at the moment. But I'm talking like legit MMORPG, like World of Warcraft style Pokemon game. So the base game, you would start out with the like red, blue, yellow edition, and each expansion would be like, the gold, silver expansion, the ruby, diamond, or ruby, sapphire. And I mean, there's been like a million Pokemon games, so the amount of expansions are kind of endless at this point. But in the same vein as like a Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King, every 2 or 3 years you release the next expansion, opening up a whole new section of game. But the way this would work, since Pokemon's not really a multiplayer game, how would you form it into an MMORPG? I think you could still have most Pokemon just kind of like roaming around in the open like you would like any other mob in an MMORPG, and then the catching mechanic would work similar to like a tagging mechanic in WoW back in the day. Nick, I know you remember those. So like the first person to tag it would have the opportunity to catch it or whatever. I didn't really think out like specifics on how that mechanic would work, but your like battles with NPCs and things like that would take place in like dungeon styled instances. So if you played any of the like red, blue, or yellow games, for example, when you walk through Viridian Forest, like that would be an instanced, like almost dungeon thing where there's like the Pokemon that you would run into that are contained within Viridian Forest, you would encounter there and be able to try to catch there. It would be filled with NPCs that you would battle with your Pokemon, just like in the old Game Boy games. You know, your Safari Zone would be another like instanced place, but with a different objective. Instead of like battling NPCs, you would be trying to catch, you know, rare Pokemon. You would have to have like a PvP, you know, styled like section of the game, and like you could even do a thing where the PvP is in like an arena where other players can go like spectate the battles while they're waiting in the lobby for their match or whatever. And then of course it wouldn't be an MMORPG without some sort of like gathering and crafting aspect to the game. So, you know, we could still have a player economy. You could gather materials and make and build your own Pokeballs that would be better than what you would buy at an NPC vendor. And, you know, as your crafting levels up, your Pokeballs would, you know, get better stats somehow. You could make like bigger bags to carry more stuff on your inventory. You could make trinkets and whatnot that your Pokemon could carry to give certain perks. There would be like a cooking mechanic, because then later on down the road, you know, Pokemon started introducing like berries and stuff that you would feed to your Pokemon or like attach to them, and then in battle when a certain status would happen or a certain health point would be reached, they would eat the berry or whatever. And these foods that you would make for your Pokemon could give them additional buffs in battle, or we could bring in the like happiness meter, and like there could be the Pokemon like beauty contest things that happened in like whatever Pokemon game that was. I don't know, things like that. I think there's enough there that you could finagle it into an MMORPG, and just being able to run around in the world and see other trainers with their like, you could pick a Pokemon to keep at your side, like a hunter had a pet in WoW or something. And, you know, just a cool way to show off, you know, your rare Pokemon that you've caught. And I don't know, I've always wanted like an open world, like multiplayer version of Pokemon. And honestly, the world is craving for a new MMO. There hasn't been a good one in like probably a decade. So
because nobody plays anything but World of Warcraft, so they're like, let's just not even touch it.
Yeah, and that game is literally a garbage fire these days. So please, anyone who's listening out there, you don't even have to pay me much. Like just like $20, maybe like a dinner. I don't know. Just let me play the game for free.
Yeah, 6-month early access to the game for Mike.
Yeah. Make this game, please. I would give you all my money. While it's not much, but you could have it all. But that's my pitch. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Were you fans of the Pokemon games in the past? Is that something that would catch your fancy? I don't know. Let me know your opinions. I guess we start out with our guest, Yusuf.
I invested in the Pokemon Red when it first came out.
Nice.
I didn't really play any other ones after that. I played Yellow just because one of my friends had it, but they were all basically the same game to me, and I didn't mess with any of them. Later on, Pokemon Go came out. I was all about that. It was really cool finding out that I was in a different state when, you know, like a couple of months after, you know, the game came out, and there was different Pokemon in a different place. You know, that was cool. But not being able to battle somebody else really, just hindered my attention. I was out after a month, and I haven't really looked back. So Pokemon games don't really interest me.
So hard sell to Yusuf. Okay, got a big fat 0 from our friend.
Sorry.
What about you, Chad? Were you a fan of the Pokemon games?
Yeah, I mean, I was about probably where Yusuf is. I played the Red, Blue, and Yellow when they came out when I was kids. and got into Go a little bit when it came out. Same thing. No battles to me felt totally weird for a Pokemon game, but I feel like it's a cool idea. Definitely. I don't know that Nintendo will ever make an MMORPG because I feel like they're mostly PC things and they just don't really dabble in PC at all. But I think it's a cool idea.
All right, 0 for 2. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're definitely 0 for 2.
Yeah, okay. What about you, Nick? I know you have been dabbling in Pokemon Go of late.
So I can't really say from active memory I've ever really even played a Game Boy, to be honest. Or Pokemon, any of the old Pokemon games. I think I might have played one, but I didn't own it. I just kind of like played it maybe on the bus because someone else had it. Can't even tell you. But I do like Pokemon Go, and I do play that. Mostly it's a geographic advantage for me because I have a Pokestop. If I literally walk to the edge of my property, I'm at a Pokestop. So that's super helpful. And there's 2 gyms in my neighborhood, so it's to my benefit.
Not fair.
So I walk the dog and catch some Pokemon. So I do like that game, and they've done a lot to it over the years. I don't know if you can exactly battle people, but you can trade. I don't know. You might be able to battle people because
it seems like such a missed opportunity to not be able to battle. Like that's what Pokemon is about. You know what I mean?
You might be able to battle. I'm not sure. I never go to areas where there's other people playing, I guess, and I only have like 3 friends that that play. Mike's a friend, but he never opens it.
Yeah. I hit Pokemon Go real hard, like when it came out. Mm-hmm. Our old office, there was a stop across the street at the hotel, so we would take like our wellness walks where we would just walk across the street, go to the hotel, spin the thing a few times, catch a few Pokemon. On our lunch breaks, we would walk or drive over to Price Park and join the other like 75 losers who were walking around the park playing Pokemon Go.
That place was mass chaos
when
all the people all the regulars there were like, what is going on? Why is the park all of a sudden
the nerds have invaded?
Why is it so bright here? I can't see anything.
But to your pitch, I don't know what the longevity of that kind of game would be. I feel like an MMO would just kind of like pop for a solid 3 months and then just die. I feel like everyone would just be standing around with their legendary Pokemon in town center, and that's about all that happens.
Off and stuff.
I mean, that's just kind of sadly the general state of MMOs.
Yeah,
like
right.
Across
it's true.
The board.
It's
because
true.
Like our friend Tim is like the demographic of the MMO player base. so yeah, everyone would probably run out of content within like 2 months or so.
Yeah. I don't know how people don't run out in Pokemon Go. I mean, there's enough for me because I'm so casual at it. It's just there's always something for me to do in there. But these people that max level and they got all the stuff, it just feels like that even bottoms out. I mean,
I feel like Pokemon Go did kind of bottom out. Like it fizzled real hot at the beginning, and then it just kind of trailed. So
yeah. Well,
good idea, solid idea. And I also give you props because I didn't really picture this question as a re-roll pitch. Like you just re-rolled an IP there into something completely new. I was going for more like a remaster.
Well,
that's what I did too.
Like,
that's what I did. So.
Each one of those words has a very different meaning. So
right.
Like a reboot is like a reimagining of the game, right? So like so that's why I went with the reboot, and that's why I like went all like into left field with Pokemon.
You still might win because
you might. Because my game's probably not going to win anything, but
deep cut Chadwick pick,
Yeah. But hey, you guys got time to just make it up on the fly if you want. But yeah, why don't we go with you next, Nick?
Yeah, so I think I've mentioned this on a What's Playing before. I know Chad and I have dug into this in brief conversation here, but I just really think I need a remake of San Andreas. I just really think that needs to happen. And this was tough for me going through like games that I want this done to, because one, a bunch of games that I would have picked have already been done. So like Spyro, Crash, right?
Yeah.
And like they're even doing Age of Empires now, and they are hitting a lot of marks. And basically any kind of RTS game, you can reboot that for me and I'll be happy. So like the Lord of the Rings one, Empire Wars, Star Wars one, those would be good. And like I even struggled picking San Andreas because technically you can argue that GTA 5 is that more or less, but I want the story. I want those exact maps redone and those quests, those storylines, because to me that was just like the classic essence of what that game captured. I don't know how well that has aged though. As far as the things that happened in that game, I don't know if current culture would appreciate the direct kind of stereotype of LA in the 90s.
Right.
But it needs to happen. I mean,
yeah, I think it's totally different from Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 just happens to take place in the same city, but it's not the same city. It's totally different.
Right.
There were two or three other cities in San Andreas.
Yeah. You had San Francisco, LA, and Las Vegas.
Yeah. So I think the rumor is that Rockstar's currently working on a quote Projects of America, where it's going to be Los Santos, Liberty City, Vice City, all the cities together in one game, which would be really cool. It's not a San Andreas remake per se, but it's going to have like different places to visit.
So you remind me of an actual pitch I have, which is it's intense. I don't know how you'd pull it off, but I feel like we have the technology getting there. But I thought of this when Google Maps and Google Earth started giving you the 3D option, right, of the cities. So at least in the very like urban centers, right, make just the real world into a GTA of sorts. I don't know how you'd compute that. I don't know how you'd do that tech wise, but to me that just made the most sense. And if everything was still changing and somehow you were basically building a VR, AR with that kind of content going on, obviously I don't know if that's, people would be very upset if you
yeah
at least
a
like
VR version of GTA.
Okay, maybe not GTA. How about Driver? I don't know if you guys have ever played Driver. That game, yeah. So
that game was fun.
So like that game, I mean, it was like GTA, but it stuck purely to the driving. So maybe do like a Forza Horizon Driver, but use the whole like United States as a map.
So it's funny that you say this because they actually tried to do this with a game that recently came out. Well, maybe not recently, past couple years, called The Crew, which is a racing game. Yeah, it's a racing game, and it has the whole of the United States. You can go to LA, New York, Miami, a couple other bigger cities, and you
does
can
it take
literally
me
drive
3
there.
days to drive?
This definitely does not take you 3 days to drive. So it's not the actual size and scope of the entire
45 minutes from New York to California.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's still a long time though.
It was definitely a cool concept.
I feel like something like that would have a lot of good opportunity to just pack too much into it, because imagine you're like on your way to Las Vegas and they pack in some like Fear and Loathing movie references and like somehow just capture all these pop culture references into all these like iconic places in the States here that we have through like movies and culture. That should be a Showboys game. We're going to make it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Shut your mouth, Nick. Giving away our IP. Yeah.
Make it. I challenge someone to make it.
My question is, so what makes San Andreas stand out, like from GTA 5 for you, that makes you want the remake? Like, was it just like the systems, the mechanics? I know you mentioned like the maps in particular and like the missions or whatnot, but
definitely the story, the missions, and like the characters. Like that's the big thing, right? And GTA 5 just does not have that because it's not a remake of San Andreas. The locations, right? The maps, all that. And there's just something GTA 5, and this is just an ongoing debate, right? How good actually is GTA 5 in the whole Grand Theft Auto franchise? It has a lot of statistics kind of behind it that make it arguably the best one, but there's a lot of like essence people feel is missing, that makes it truly good, right? Like people complain about the storylines. Obviously, there's really great characters, really good characters in that game, but just the way it all intertwined and the general, just like I said, essence of the game and the story is what kind of fell through. And to me, that's where the other GTAs just really outshine it. So like that's where a remaster would have to happen to really kind of drive that home.
And you'd want it to kind of stay true to San Andreas, like outside of like a graphical and optimization standpoint.
I would probably be happy with not like less than a GTA 5, maybe. Like if they wanted to just really overhaul San Andreas more so and like really just polish up that game somehow and like port it just to a better engine and just kind of like polish it up, not necessarily make it GTA 5. I think I would be happy with that. And I mean, the beginning of that game is a very, to me, popular meme. I see it all over the place, but it's like the "here we go again." Like, that's how a lot of games start, but they like to use CJ Johnson there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, here we go again.
All right. You guys have any questions or comments for Nick's idea?
No, I mean, I love the idea of San Andreas being redone, mostly because for me, out of all of the GTAs, that one I enjoyed the RPG elements in it.
Right.
The character building, go to the gym and work out, and CJ has become, so ripped and diesel, and then, eat some burgers, and he just becomes a tub of lard. Like, I love it. Everything in that game, ride the bike, run across the street. It changes your character.
Yeah.
And they didn't do in any GTA since, realistically.
Yeah, I mean, that game was like an early model of kind of like a class system, to a very faint degree. But if you preferred riding around on your BMX bike and just like shooting people up with your Tech 9, there were certain stats there that favored that play style versus you were more of a motorcycle. Like there's the skill for the motorcycle. I completely forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. Look, all of those things changed how the game environment worked. If you were, like, for instance, that buff CJ, you could run up on somebody and hit them just, and that was that. It was done. But if you didn't work out, it took a struggle of a fight.
Make it a point to keep your Kevlar, up to date. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they added a lot of those elements in where some games add those elements in and they feel kind of boring and annoying. I feel like San Andreas didn't have that feeling to it where it was like, oh, okay, it's telling me I have to eat. Oh, I have to drink now. Some of that stuff in games can be like, okay, I don't really want this in my game. But San Andreas, I think, did it pretty good because of the way that it changed your character throughout it. So,
it's somehow they placed you like in your neighborhood too, or wherever your current house was, right? Because like if you had a gym nearby, that would be part of your routine. Like you got to work out, got to eat, get ready for the mission, and then you're off and about. Like that was kind of like your home base,
right?
And not to mention the gang warfare between like owning neighborhoods and stuff like that. Like there was a lot of just like deep systems in that game that they explored, and the flying. I like the flying in that game though too. It's a little simulator itself.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we get like. I think if they're ever going to do something like that, it's going to be the original trilogy altogether, like in one bundle, remastered.
Yeah,
they released them on like the iPads and stuff, like the 10th anniversary editions, which were somewhat up-res and that stuff. But oh man, if I kind of out of those three, San Andreas is my least favorite. Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City I would prefer, but I'd take them all in a bundle for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Nice. Good idea, Nick. Seems like approval across the board. Let's go up to you, Yusuf. What game would you like to see rebooted, remade, or remastered?
All right. In the same vein as you, though, I'm going to say my honorable mention would be the game called The Bouncer. Have you heard of this game?
Mm-mm.
No. Wow. I
No.
got no's across the board here. Okay.
Yeah.
Enlighten us.
Are
this
you a
will-
bouncer? Like, is that the game?
Well, okay, so you start
Okay.
off as a bouncer. You're
The
three people who
Katamari
are bouncers in
sequel.
a car.
Just a bouncy ball.
Right.
Anyway, sorry, didn't mean
It's
to
a
interrupt you.
basketball game. And
Yeah.
some girl who works at the bar gets kidnapped, and it's just a beat 'em up game. It's like playing Fatal Fury, Fighting Force, any of those sort of games.
Mhm.
No Manhunt.
No man,
Okay.
I would love, and that almost made.
That's
the
a good
list.
one, Nick. That's like the third time you brought that game up on the show.
But it was a sweet game. It was from SquareSoft. It was the first PS2 game that they released. It was stellar. So if you haven't seen that one, just check it out sometime if you can. But what I really want remastered was also a SquareSoft game. This one was Parasite Eve. Have you heard
Oh
of that?
my goodness.
That's a good game,
Yes.
You are me
Yes.
and I am you.
So-
we are
their
one.
soul
We
mates
are.
connecting right now.
We are.
So good. All right. And look, so yeah, you already know it's a survival. It's a, excuse me, not survival horror. It's a horror game. It was an RPG game, so it played like your Final Fantasies back in the day. But it had that mechanic where when you were lining up your shot, the dome would come across, and you would be able to hit your target. And it was very cool to not be able to actually control whether or not you got critical shots, regular hits, or if you missed. And that is one of the few games that I can say I've never actually beaten. So I would love to play a remaster of that game just to enjoy it. And really, if they don't, it's only going to be a couple of weeks before I play it on the stream. So,
Well, there you go. I will definitely learn more about it then. That's
Oh,
for sure.
you will. You will. That game is absolutely fantastic. And it's right. It came out right around Resident Evil 2. And that kind of, I think it might have even came out in the same year. So I was like, I might have been itching for something close to Resident Evil 2. And it was close enough, but it just blew me out of the water when I played it. And that's a game that I haven't, but I really need to go back and replay. So yes, remaster 100% on that.
Nice. Are there anything or any systems or mechanics from the game in particular that need or that you would want to see changed, or are like basically the same question I asked Nick? Are you just happy with like sprucing up? And
I just need like a sprucing up for the most part. I mean, it was wonky controls meets Final Fantasy fighting tactics, but not just regular Final Fantasy. It wasn't your stationary. You were able to move around, but as soon as you started fighting, everything just stopped, and then you would do your actions, and then you were kind of stuck waiting for the next movements to go. And it was just, if they could bring it more. And I swear to you, 15 was more of an action Final Fantasy, but it felt right. If they could make it more like that, as far as the combat system, but if not, truthfully, I would just take a nice sprucing up, and I would be very satisfied with that.
nice. It sounds interesting, that's for sure. And I'm looking forward to you playing it on your stream. And maybe a bigwig out there will be tuning in because of your shout out on Q92, and they'll be like, you know what, this guy, he's onto something. Maybe we'll remaster this game. Awesome. Chad, last but not least, what do you got for us? What's your idea?
I'm gonna do an honorable mention also, and my honorable mention, as much as I didn't want to say it because I think the original is just too perfect, is Metal Gear Solid. I just need a remake of Metal Gear Solid in the worst possible way. And I think, at least in the rumor mill, is Blue Point Games might be remaking Metal Gear Solid. And they did the remake of Shadow of the Colossus and more recently Demon Souls for the PS5, which were awesome remakes of the games. So I'm very hopeful that that's eventually going to come, but we'll see. That's my honorable mention.
The Demon Souls remake looks so gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they did an awesome job on that Demon Souls remake. Like, if they could just remake every game like that, we'd be happy for the rest of our lives. But obviously, some of them don't turn out as well as Blue Point makes them. But my pitch is going to be a remake / kind of remaster of Persona 3. Now,
I know a couple people who will be so happy with your pitch.
So
looking at you, Ryan Crossland. Anyways,
so I went with a platform of either the PS5, Nintendo Switch, or an unannounced PlayStation handheld. So the original game came out in 2006. It's mostly referenced as the best game in the series, and it is a game that I have purposely not played because the versions that are out, that you almost need to combine them to make what I'm looking for. So the original
so you're
game,
pitching a game you've never played?
Yeah. Stick with me here. Just stick with me here, okay? This one, it had to be on my list because I'm very vocal about how much I want a remake of this game so I can actually play it and experience it. So the original one came out in 2006. It's a PS2 game. It's kind of hard to get a hold of now unless you have a PS3. And then even then, it's like, I played Persona 4 Golden was the first game, and it was a handheld, and that was like very important to the way I experienced that game because I would like take it to work with me and play it there, and it's like engrossed my entire life because it was with me at all times. So that's why I kind of wanted on a Switch or a Nintendo, Switch handheld. That's probably never going to happen because it's kind of a PlayStation thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they came out with Fez, which is kind of a director's cut of it. Came out in 2008 and added in some stuff, and then they came out with a portable version, which adds a lot of the stuff I'm looking for gameplay wise and mechanics wise, but it removed all the other cool stuff of the game. There's no exploring on foot. There's static screens that you're exploring. So the basic loop of Persona is you are at a new high school in Japan, and you go through an entire year at this high school, and some crazy crap happens and you have to fight some people. It's different in every game. So you wake up in the morning, you go to school, you take your tests, you hang out with your friends. After school, you pick out social links, and those are basically friends to pick that will level up stats for when you're in battle. So my pitch is Persona 4 Platinum. See what I did there? Because Persona 3 Platinum, sorry. Persona 4 Golden, get it? Nothing. Okay. So I told you I wasn't going to win anything with this one, but this is like, so July. Yeah. July of this year marks the 15th anniversary of Persona 3. There are some rumors that it's coming. I have to have it because I have to play this game, and I refuse to play any of the other things. What I would change is I'm just going to combine the battle mechanics from Portable in with all the cutscenes and the 3D exploring from the original game and spruce it up a little bit.
Okay.
Atlas, it's the 15th anniversary of what many believe is your best game you've ever made. It's time. It just has to happen. That's my pitch.
Do it. Make it happen. Yeah, we work with used to work with a couple people who were very obsessed with the Persona games. Like one was too obsessed with the Persona games.
It's like a game that like I loved JRPGs growing up, and then they kind of I don't know if I just fell out of love with them or they just weren't that good anymore. And then I picked this one up thinking like, I'm not really at the time. I wasn't really into anime. I not really into high school drama or any of this stuff, but
right.
The Vita was struggling for games that I wanted to play on it. And everybody was like, 10 out of 10, this game you got to play. And I played it, and it took me probably 2 years to beat total. But it was like a game that I would like put down for months and then come back and pick right back up and, play it for another 3 months. And, oh, geez, they're just awesome. They don't sound that appetizing when you're just trying to you're like, who wants to go to high school again, especially
you
in
don't wanna
Japan?
play like
You know?
a Japanese schoolgirl and
Yeah,
make friends.
but
What?
it's
That doesn't
so
entertain you.
it's so it's so much more than that it will get you, especially for you, Mike. It will get its claws in you for sure if you ever play a
that's
Persona
funny.
game.
I'm like I have a super addictive personality, so
Right
I'm
there
sure
with you, bud.
like
Yeah.
I would probably turn into Ray from work.
Yeah.
Who wishes he was a Japanese schoolgirl like in real life.
Yusuf, did you ever play any of the Persona games?
I unfortunately have not. I've seen several of them and have passed through my fingers. Never played any of them.
Wow,
Yeah.
this is the first thing the couple has quarreled about here. Well, I
So
wouldn't really call that a quarrel,
it's kind of like I feel like it's kind of the modernization of Final Fantasy, if that makes any sense whatsoever. It's like if you look at like the JRPGs that are big in Japan now, it's like all Persona. It's not,
Okay.
obviously Final Fantasy is still somewhat popular, but it's been
Right.
overshadowed by Persona.
Okay.
So look up some gameplay, man. It might be up your alley.
What's the most recent one that came out?
Yeah, Persona 5 came out, and
I don't know why I said it like that.
Yeah.
I think I just wasn't confident in
I thought it was the
myself.
one- Pick it up on Switch.
no, it is a PS4 game. Do you so
And Steam.
Oh yeah, okay, maybe it might. Is it on Steam?
Yeah, I
Persona
just
5?
looked it up. There's like 4 and 5 on Steam.
Oh wow,
No,
I
3.
knew that 4 Golden came to Steam, but I didn't know that 5 came. So that's the most recent one. It's the most modernized one, and it's really, really good. But it lacks that kind of, PS2 era. I don't know how to make it. It's like comfort food, PS2 comfort food JRPGs.
Okay, yeah.
That's a good descriptor there.
Describing that game is how I feel when I describe Attack on Titan to someone.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
There's just like I can't find the right words to say how cool or what this show is even about. So like it's just like you just gotta watch it or
Nick's been trying to get me to watch Attack on
Oh
Titan
my
for
God.
like a year, maybe, probably longer. But what they really need to do, Chad, along with your Persona remake, they need to remake, remaster, revive Doki Doki Literature Club.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you like that, Persona's like right up your alley because it adds in the kind of battle system. It keeps you engaged more than just, Literature Club's almost like I don't even know how to explain it. It's like Attack on Titan. How do you explain it?
How do I explain
Doki
Doki Literature Club? Hey, man, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
It's
Just
hard.
like
A horror masterpiece. That's what
there you go.
A psychological horror masterpiece. If you've never heard of Doki Doki Literature Club, please look it up. And if you're extremely curious, I don't know. Okay, so you probably, if you listen to this channel at all, you've heard me reference a YouTuber named Nexpo several times. He had an amazing in-depth video on Doki Doki Literature Club, but he recently had taken it off YouTube and it's now like a Patreon exclusive. So I don't know what level of his Patreon membership you need to be to watch this video, but I'll tell you it's worth it. Just pay the $5 or whatever and watch this video. It's so great.
So visual novel was the word that I was going for. That's what Doki Doki Literature Club is. So it's not, you don't have any kind of battle system or anything like that. But as far as all the weird stuff in it, Persona's got it all,
Oh, really? Okay. Because Ray, our friend from work, never brought that up. I'm pretty sure he wishes he was a Japanese schoolgirl. So that's the aspect of the game that we heard about.
mean, I got to be honest, ever since I played Persona, I was like, man, I really wish I could go to high school in Japan because it sounds so fun. It was just totally totally played that game and just absolutely turned into a total dork. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And I haven't looked back since. So
nice. Well, If you say it's got the weird, creepy elements that Doki Doki had, then you have piqued my interest.
Yeah, Persona 3 for sure has those creepy elements. Persona 4 is a little more lighthearted, and then Persona 5 kind of made it somewhere in between the two. So I should clarify that even though I said I've never played Persona 3, I've played 10 hours maybe of the PS2 version before I was like, I'm just going to wait for a remake because it's eventually going to happen. I know it. So it's
10 years later.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for it.
Nice. Oh, man. Well, that's great. I think all of these ideas were fun. And yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of cool how we each had a very, very differing game idea from the four of us, which was pretty cool. I wasn't sure exactly what to expect here. But yeah,
I'm somewhat jealous of the Parasite Eve thing. I can't believe I didn't think of that. I think for my money, Yusuf wins, even though because I know Persona 3 is just like a personal thing that I need.
Right.
Nobody else wants
Same,
it probably,
which is exactly like what mine was. Like I'm just picking this literally for me because I know probably no one else cares.
I'm actually surprised Mike didn't pick Dust.
I thought for sure that was it because we talked about it on here before.
No brainer for Mike. Like, just give him some Dust.
Oh, dude, that was a fabulous game. But again, if that were to be remade or rebooted, it would have to go to a different studio because CCP is inept and should not exist because they're terrible. But yeah, so I guess that's all we really have. Do you guys have any closing remarks, any final pitches or anything that came to mind before we kind of wrap up here?
I had a follow-up question, and Chad kind of answered it for himself, but I was wondering what you guys think, but also give Chad the opportunity to rethink it. But, we're talking about remasters, remakes, and these are all games we love. Where and when and why, do you prefer a remake and a remaster of a game or just go back and play the real thing? So like question. Chad there, he was just like 10 hours of this. They're going to eventually remake it. Too old. They'll remake it. And that's what I want to play. And I'll hold out for that.
I think Chad's reasoning makes sense though, because there were like two different versions of the same game that kind of did different things. So that kind of makes sense to combine all of it into one thing. But your question is very good and is a question I've often asked myself, especially with like for example, when I got my PlayStation 4, that I feel like PlayStation 4 gen, like that console generation, we saw a lot of remakes and remasters. And
they became very popular on that generation for sure.
And when that started happening, I was like, but where are the new IPs? Like, why are we just rehashing these games? And some of them weren't even really that old to begin with, and they're just like remaster here.
And there was a lot of number 4s on the PlayStation 4.
Right.
Like then PlayStation 4 launched with Uncharted 4, and I think there's a slew of other number 4s if you like go back and look that came out.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I caught myself thinking that a lot when I owned a PlayStation 4. Is like, why are we remastering and remaking so many things like all the time?
I'll give you. Let me give you.
At what point do you like justify the, like you were saying, Nick, justify the need for one instead of just going back and playing it, and like instead spending that time creating something new and original?
Yeah. Let me give you my answer to that. What I think it was at least for the PS4 was a lot of the games that they were remastering were not backwards compatible with the PS4 and people wanted them. And that kind of makes me change my answer a little bit to the point where I want a remaster or a remake or whatever when the game becomes too inaccessible for me to get. So like Metal Gear Solid is a perfect example. Perfect game. Absolutely love it. Kind of challenging to play today because it's, unless you have a PS1 or, I hacked it onto my PS Vita when I had it. So I think that for my money, that's when a remaster or remake should come, when it's just too old and it needs to be kind of modernized. But then even then, there are some games where like they get ruined by modernizing them.
Mm-hmm.
So it all depends. I think Blue Point does awesome with it. I think the Resident Evil 2 remake was absolutely fantastic. That's a great way to remake an old game. But, you know, some of them are really bad. So it can kind of muddy the legacy of that game if it comes out with a crappy remake.
I'll throw it up to you then, Yusuf. What do you think?
It's kind of a tough one. It's by case, I suppose, because some games are awesome and they're old as dirt. Even terrible graphics, gameplay mechanics are shoddy. They still somehow hold their value.
Mhm.
Where there are games come out and 10 minutes in, you know that Quest 64 is not the game for you. And you're like, you know, I want this game redone because this could have been the Zelda killer, you know, at the time. You know, but
right.
Like time to remaster is like Chad said, when a game is no longer accessible, if it's too hard to play, and then if it was done improperly from the very beginning, it just needs to be recycled 4 or 5 years later, you know,
Right.
after people forgot about it.
Yeah, the old great idea, poor execution. Like,
Yeah,
let's get this in someone else's hand.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try.
I call that the Ubisoft problem. Their games always look so awesome, and then when they come out, you're like, wow, like these are not very good. The Division is like something that I hope that they're like, all right, let's try to do it the right way this time and actually make it look like the gameplay trailer that we showed, because it's nothing like it.
So you're saying Ubisoft is the Justice League of gaming world?
Yeah, they're terrible.
They get the design and the aesthetics and like all that's just so good. Like they seem to like make like gaming movies, like just do that.
Yeah, they get it good for the E3 trailer, and then they down-res everything and change everything.
E3, yeah. Then it comes out, it's just like, man, this is another Ubisoft game. Played it. They're all the same.
They're exactly the same.
Well, that's a good question, Nick. And I didn't think at the time, Chad, about the whole backwards compatibility thing. That makes total sense, because I felt like every other game announcement was like remaster. Well,
that is exactly, truthfully, that is 100% the reason that I chose Parasite Eve, is because they had just announced that the PlayStation Store is no longer going to be accessible from the PS3.
Right.
And that's the only way the I found my PS3 while detailing a car, a repoed car, you know? So nice. It was like free PS3, but it doesn't read discs. So I had to download Shadow of the Colossus. I had to download Mega Man Legends. I'm going to download Parasite Eve before I have no opportunity to get these classics that I want to play again.
I kind of think, even though they haven't announced it yet, I kind of think that Sony has to have a plan for all those games. I don't know if they're going to, because the PS3, you could get like almost every PS1 game on there. I got Jet Moto, which was a launch title for the and I got to think that there's a plan in the pipeline for them to bring those games back, because there's no reason to close those stores, because for a lot of those games, that's the only modern way of getting them. Hopefully. So I wouldn't be shocked if in the coming months they announce some sort of, you know, major PlayStation store that's got, you know, the top 100 titles from the PS1, the PS2, the PS3. Wouldn't shock me at all, especially with them closing everything like this so abruptly.
Interesting. Yeah, so now I do think that this is probably the end of the episode.
Yeah, we went on another 10 minutes there. It's fine.
Yeah, but no, and I think this might actually be the shortest episode of What's Playing. We kept it under like it's still like a long episode. We're at like an hour 34, but our What's Playing episodes have been hitting like 2.5, 2 hours 45 minutes. Yeah. So I'm proud of us, guys. We did it, you know?
Yeah. We're making concise, directed content.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you, Yusuf, so much for joining us tonight. It was really fun to get to learn more about your stream, your channel, like what motivates you, and for those of you out there who have not heard of BioSiv and are interested in checking out an entertaining streamer in the early mornings, Monday through Friday, please find him on Facebook as facebook.com/biosiv. Monday through Friday, 8 to 9:45, right?
You got it. Yeah.
He plays a variety of games, and I'm always highly entertained, and the streams are really funny. And he's fun to banter with back and forth while he's playing.
Well, I want to thank you for having me on the stream, Mike, Nick, Chad. It was a lot of fun. Just bantering with you guys. It was definitely a lot of fun. It was cool.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back on. We do
For sure, yeah.
a video game related episode in our What's Playing series once a month. Sometimes last month we squeaked an extra one in there just because we've been obsessed with Valheim and had to talk about it. But yeah, you can find BioSiv not only on Facebook, but he is also a member of our Discord. So if you want to talk to him, like find him on Facebook, talk to him on Facebook, but also you can chat with him in our Discord. Just like you can chat with us in our Discord. Even Chad is in our Discord. It's crazy.
Allegedly, yeah.
It's a crazy place in there. But if you're looking for probably the best way to interact with us, engage with us, talk to us. I mean, all those words mean the same thing. Or interact with other listeners of the show, please check out our Discord. It's linked in our Instagram and Facebook bio. You can find the link on our YouTube page also, or at linktr.ee/showboyspodcast. We have tons of conversations going on in Discord all the time about all different types of ideas and topics. We currently have a channel in there for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we also have a Falcon and Winter Soldier companion series running every Sunday night here on our YouTube channel, where Jordan and I break down the most recent episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I try my hardest to find any hints or clues that Falcon and Winter Soldier may be tied to and leading up to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and I'm failing miserably. You can find all of our links, like I said, to our social medias and podcasting platforms at linktr.ee/showboyspodcast. If you're tuned into the live stream, thank you so much for stopping by. If you're watching this later on YouTube, please, if you like what you heard, consider subscribing and consider checking out BioSiv and subscribing to their channel. Also, Chad's podcast, That's Strange. Check them out on YouTube for creepy and controversial and strange stories and topics. They do a good job over there. It's always very entertaining. You can find their YouTube page on our YouTube page as well. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm done rambling and plugging. Until next time, have a good evening.